and I, my husband, we decided to grow our family, stopped the pill, and got pregnant right away. And I was like, oh, that was easy. I don't know what this is all about. Like, so many people have all these challenges. I was like, cool. And I was like, well, my mom got pregnant pretty easily too. So I was like, oh, genetics. So I was like, okay, cool. Everything's going great. And the thing that I loved about my OB is that they had an ultrasound in the office. So literally every appointment, it was like, you want to see the baby? You want to see the baby? So he was like, do you want to see the baby? I'm like, yeah, this is great. I think I was 8 weeks along. And, did the abdominal and was like, well, you're so early, like, let's just double check. And so we did the vaginal one, and it was like, okay, well, we're not seeing any hard activity, but it's still so new that, let's wait a little bit. So came back 2 weeks later and did another transvaginal, and it was confirmed, no heartbeat. Was pretty devastated by all of that, just because it was, I thought everything was going to go so smooth, had such high hopes, easy peasy pregnancy. Kind of just took a little bit of time to regroup, and got pregnant pretty quickly. I feel like within a couple of months after that. I think it was like, I can't remember the timeline, but it was pretty quick, and got pregnant with EJ, my 8.5-year-old. And it was like, oh, beautiful. Like, that was just a one-time thing, not a big deal. Had a okay delivery. And got through that part. We had a lovely little life, the three of us, and then it was like, EJ needs a sister. Started trying and had another miscarriage. Same thing, 6 to 8 weeks. And it was like, you know what, just not the right time. My body's not ready. Let's, just pause for a second. And then got pregnant within, I think I miscarried that one naturally. And that was like, I woke up in the morning and had bleeding. So there wasn't much you could do about that. So I had to do like the whole process on my own at home, which I would not encourage anybody to do.
I have to say I've done that once out of my 8 miscarriages, and it was the worst experience of my life.
I've done it 3 times, three times on my own, and 2 DNCs, and it was the worst ever, because it's like every time you go to the bathroom is a reminder.
Yeah.
It's enough to have it in your head, but it's every time you go to the bathroom and you're like, passed naturally, then got pregnant again. So this is now the 4th time. No, 3rd time?
4th pregnancy.
4th pregnancy. And was like, okay, well, here we go again, round however many. Same thing went through, 6 to 8 weeks. And this time, because it was occurring frequently, my doctor was like, let's get blood work. And so I was coming in for blood work like every 3 days and like monitoring the HCG levels. And, of course you go and Google everything and you're like, okay, I'm on the lower range, but I'm going up, but I'm still in it. And you're just like, I got this. Go in for the ultrasound, no cardiac rhythm, and off we go. And it's like, okay, well, let's pass it naturally. What do we do? And that time he was like, I want to go in and get a little bit more of a detailed ultrasound. So we did it was just a transvaginal, more detailed ultrasound. And the ultrasound tech was like, oh, you have a septum. And I was like, I'm sorry? And she's like, you have a septum. I was like, what? I don't know what you're speaking of. I know what a septum is, but like, I should not have a septum in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this why I'm having so many miscarriages? And she looked me like dead straight in the eye and she was like, yeah, probably. So got the results, went back to my doctor, and it was like, all right, like, what are we going to do? And he goes, you carried naturally with that septum. I'm not concerned at all. And I was like, okay, he's not concerned. I don't need to be concerned. Let's just move forward. And then a month later, got pregnant again, and it was like, oh my gosh. And so this was like all within, like 6 months probably. It was crazy. Like one after another. And I'm just like, holy smokes, like I cannot catch a break. My father-in-law, Pete, Mac's dad, passed away on the 1st or 2nd miscarriage of that 3rd from cancer. So that was like a traumatic experience. Because I remember I was at work miscarrying. And
at work miscarrying. Like, who does that except for a badass nurse who's a nurse and is determined to be there for her staff and patients? Don't even have words. Nurse.
Yeah, Pete's nurse. Yeah.
Peds.
Yeah, that was fun. I had to go into the supply closet and steal the pads, which, if anybody knows what hospital pads are, they're like this, and you're just like, okay. So Pete passed away, had 3 consecutive miscarriages. My husband and I were done. We were like, we need to get out. Again, fight or flight, and we took off and moved from Arizona to Oregon. And had a great life. We were like, you know what, we are so very happy with just EJ. We don't need anything more. And we kind of got settled in, and it was like, why don't we try for one more? So, got pregnant, thought everything was fabulous. It was like, this is all we needed. We need the Portland air. You know, we just needed to get out of that environment. And the first appointment, had like consecutive labs, everything, same kind of thing, low, but you know, trending up. Had an ultrasound, again, no activity. And it was like, here we go again. Awesome sauce. Like, what do we do? The doctor that I picked came back into the room and was like, I'm really so sorry, like this is happening. Like you now have like, well, if you have 3 consecutive miscarriages in a row, it's considered recurrent pregnancy loss. And he said, well, the practice at the hospital that I went to, which is Catholic based, they required that if you have no heartbeat to come back a week later to confirm that there's no heartbeat. And I was like, you know, I understand, but I've been down this road a couple of times. I don't think we need to go down that. And he was like, I completely understand, but I'm sorry, this is like the policies of the hospital. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, I'm so just like, whatever. He's like, oh, and I'm also going out to have hip surgery tomorrow. Sweet old man. And so it was like a double kicker of 1, now I have to wait a week, and 2, I didn't know you, and now what am I going to do? And he was like, but I have a fabulous provider, Dr. Loker. So the lovely, love her to death, Dr. Loker, said, she called me and she was like, I read through your chart, I saw all of your history, this is what I'm going to do for you. We're going to set up an appointment for 1 week past like the official date of the loss. We're going to do an ultrasound, but I'm going to set up a DNC for the day after. She's like, this will give you the preparation to be like, and we're done, complete. And she's like, how does that sound? And I was like, I love you, thank you so much. So came in, did that whole thing. In between her conversation and like my appointment with her, she reviewed my chart in such detail that she was like, I see on one of your previous ultrasounds that you have a septum. This is what I want to do. When you're DNC, I want to go in and I want to take a scope and I want to look at you and make sure that like what is there is really there. Is that contributing to it? Is it not? So did the DNC, she pulled the scope, and I remember in the room, like her coming in, she's like, you have a significant septum. You have a significant uterine septum.
God
and
bless
she's
her.
like,
I'm sorry.
I
I'm not
know.
supposed to talk over it because I see, and I'm like, God bless her.
Yeah.
God bless her.
Champion. Like I see, like I want to hug her every time I see her. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have little Penny. But she found that you can have a procedure to remove the septum. And I was like, yeah, dude, let's do this. Had an appointment with her, like 6-8 weeks post-op, whatever it was. And she was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, let's give it one more shot. And I think a month later, I got pregnant with Penelope and had absolutely 0 issues. Everybody says like, oh, Penny, she's your rainbow baby. She's your rainbow baby. Like, she's your miracle baby. And I was like, no, EJ's my miracle baby. Like, she should not have survived.
Yeah.
That was a, I won't say toxic environment, but a very like habitable environment for her. So EJ is my miracle baby. But I've got all my other little rainbow babies watching over us, and I think they are all upstairs playing with each other, running around and looking down on us and being like, I'm so glad we have each other.